much for joining us on this month's episode of Boys and Girls Club's Clubcast. I am your new host, Marissa Gleockler, and I am so excited to be here today. Joining me is Mr. Sean Mitchell. He is Boys and Girls Club's newest team member. He is the Director of Workforce Readiness, so he's got a lot to share about everything that's coming up in Boys and Girls Clubs, all the really cool projects he's going to be working on. So to dive right in, I first want to know, what was your initial moment of, wow, Boys and Girls Clubs is an organization I want to be a part of, whether it was part of volunteering or giving back? You know, what was that moment for you?
Well, it goes back about 5 years ago. Although I've been a resident here in St. Lucie County for 31 years and sat on many different organizations and boards, I never had a direct contact with the Boys and Girls Club. I had friends that their children went and things of that nature. But 5 years ago, I met Will Armstead at a function up in Fort Pierce. And right away, I was just like, wow, this guy's about the kids. He really, truly is about the kids. And since that time, I've known many of your board members, that your directors and the people that sit on the board. For instance, Michael Lafreniere, Brian Hester, Richard Del Toro, just people like that. And it's just, it's a worthwhile organization. And as we got into COVID, I know that I met with Will and we cooked, I remember one Saturday and Sunday, we cooked 2,000 hot dogs and 1,000 hamburgers, feeding people in the community. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I did, you know, everybody says, well, you want to do it for the kids, but I also do it for myself because it makes me feel like I'm giving back to my community. So,
definitely.
Yeah,
and we always
stuff.
say giving back to Boys and Girls Clubs really is giving back to the whole community with all the partnerships and everything. So talk to me a little bit about your new role, Workforce Readiness, and what that entails and how that impacts the clubs.
Well, thank you for that question. About a month or so ago, I had met with Will and he discussed, he knew my background. Prior to being a county commissioner in St. Lucie County, I had been I ran a construction union, and also one part of that was an apprenticeship program where young men and women, as long as they were 18 years of age, had a high school diploma or a GED, could pass a drug test, we'll give them the ball to run with. No tuition and things of that nature, because I truly believe, and I'm a perfect example of it, there's different pathways to the middle class. I have a daughter who's a public school teacher, also have a son who went to college, got his associate's degree, didn't know what he wants to do. And he was living with me at the time, and I said, well, until you figure it out, you're going to go in my apprenticeship program. And today he's a certified welder. He works out at St. Lucie Nuclear Power Plant and does very well for himself.
That's awesome. So so you're a week in, is that right?
1 week, yes.
Okay, so fairly new to the position. So how are you planning to get started? You know, are you going to dive right in? What's your approach?
Well, I think that first and foremost, I'm really excited to be part of this organization, and I just feel with my background and what I'd like to bring to the Workforce Readiness is, as I alluded to, you have different pathways to the middle class. I sat on the Career Source Board for 16 years, so they give quarterly updates about what the jobs are of the future, what's the hot jobs. Because the worst thing for someone to do is a parent or an individual, a young man or woman, saying, okay, I want to do this, but there's nobody hired in that. So let's broaden that horizon. Let's think, hey, so what I'd like to do is meet with all the club directors, meet with the kids. Now, the other day was exciting because we went up to Westwood Academy and they opened up the 21st Century, which is workforce readiness, getting the young men and women into career paths. So they'll also, I believe on the 21st of January, they'll be opening up one at Treasure Coast High School, which is right around the corner from where I live. So I'm excited about that. I'd also like to, I don't know in the past, when you turn 18 or you graduate high school, I think you become Boys and Girls Club alumni. Well, I'd like to get with those young individuals and say, hey, now that you're 18, you're graduating, what do you want to do next? Get them when they're younger, get them prepared for that, but I think that's something maybe we haven't done in the past, but something looking forward, I think it would be a really good fit.
Definitely, and I know when we talked the other day, something that it sounded like you were very passionate about was keeping that talent in St. Lucie County and being really St. Lucie County strong, and tapping into the interests of the youth to then apply to partners and things like that.
Well, I don't know if I told you or not, but when I was a county commissioner, when I first got into office, 84% of our residents drove out of the county to go to work. When I left, we got it down to 61%. And what I pushed for is not only do you want to create jobs, you want to create careers. And with all the distribution centers we have here now in St. Lucie County, also manufacturing, there's so many branches and avenues that we can reach out to. So I'm really excited to turn this into something very successful to the youth of our county.
And what about, so that you have your club members who are interested in trades, you have club members that are interested in very specific, you know, sometimes you meet a teen and they're like, I'm going to be a nurse and that's what I'm going to be, and that's it. And then you have some that aren't really sure. So for those youth that are kind of undecided or maybe don't know what path to follow, how are the clubs and your programs and the existing programs sort of catering to those people to maybe give them all-around skills that they can apply anywhere?
Okay, great question. First and foremost, like you say, a lot of children, I say children because I'm older, but anybody that either youth from say 14 to say 18, they're not really sure what they want to do, but you can get them the basics. And when I say about the basics, your soft skills. How do you interview? How do you look somebody in the eye when you're introduced? Shake their hand and look at them. Don't use the word things of that nature. So and if you wanted to get into construction trades, say, okay, I don't know if I want to be a plumber, a pipe fitter, HVAC, an iron worker, a crane operator. There's things that go over the whole plethora of the trades, like OSHA 10, for instance, CPR, first aid. We can get all those programs so that when they turn 18, they're ready to go. They have a step up on anybody else.
Yeah, whenever they can get those certifications. I know we did a drone program over the summer. I believe it was a partnership with Embry-Riddle. Okay. And they got drone certified by the end of it. Awesome. So I think anytime they can add something to their resume, it's just, that's awesome.
And whether it's a high school diploma or a college degree or a certification in the trades, that's something they can't take away from you. You've earned that, and it's a certification that only takes you up the ladder.
Right. And so you mentioned college degrees. So what about college, the youth that are interested in going to college or maybe don't know what college or need to learn how to apply to college and things like that?
I think that's an awesome question and a statement, because what I'd also like to do is not only get with teachers, but also get with guidance counselors and the students. Say, hey, what do you want to do? And like you said a few minutes ago, I'm going to be into nursing. Well, nursing is it's still in very high demand.
Yes.
A lot of retirees come down to St. Lucie County, and we want to make sure that we can provide good services for our elderly.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have such a strong, in this county, we have EDC and the Chamber and all these amazing groups that really provide outlets for those types of partnerships. And we've been fortunate as an organization to work with so many local businesses, you know, leaders to get our youth and our club members in those businesses.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting to continue. Yeah. So you mentioned the alumni, and so that would be 18 and up. So the Workforce Readiness Program, our clubs we provide programming to children ages 6 to 18. So, and workforce readiness, sometimes people are just like, oh, those are the high school kids, those are the teenagers.
Not necessarily, and I can tell you because I have 6 children, and I remember my son Patrick, who's the welder and the iron worker, when he was younger, Jurassic Park was his big thing. He wanted to be a paleontologist.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, but as he got into the science and everything, he said, I'm not so sure this is what I want, Dad. But give them exposure. Give them into exposure to your dream first. And if that dream is not like, doesn't turn into a nightmare, then they'll go on that path.
Right.
But sometimes you got to broaden your horizons, for lack of a better word. But when you find your niche, and what I say about niche is, just like me, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. If you like what you do and love it, it really, you get up every morning and you just want to, you know, live for today and help somebody and reach out. And we have, as you alluded to, so many avenues to help people. You talked about the Economic Development Council, the Treasure Coast Builders, Indian River State College, huge nursing program, which they're expanding over here in St. Lucie West at the Pruitt campus with Andy Treadwell. These are all good paying careers, not just jobs, but careers.
Right.
All the distribution centers, you have FedEx, Cheney Brothers, Amazon. If you have a CDL license, you're in high demand. So there's pathways.
And I don't even know if you know too much about this, being that you're new to the team itself, but we have young entrepreneurs in our clubs. We have 3 girls at our Oak Club that have started their own lemonade stand.
Aww.
And they have their whole business set up and everything. So entrepreneurship is really a big thing that we
Sure it is.
teach not only our teens, but from a very young age as well. And, you know, that can be approached differently than you would maybe a trade or a specific career path, because that can cover so many different things.
Or hospitality, right?
Yeah.
You could aspire someday to either own or run your own restaurant, hotel, things of that nature. So
will we provide programming that's specific to entrepreneurship, you think, or maybe inspire some of those skills that you might need, business mindset and things like that? That'll be part of the programming. That's really exciting, and I know that we are always looking for more local businesses. We love to support local, so, and if we're trying to keep our talent in St. Lucie County, then what better way than to
And you know
inspire?
what, since I've had this position for a week now, I've had more businesses and people reach out to me, hey, whatever I can do, you know, and I want to make sure I plug into all of those.
Yes, we have Taylor Hoskins on our board. We had a Youth of the Year go work at her law office. We've had the Mets have worked with another Youth of the Year candidate, Essence. She went and she got to actually be the on-field host last season. So we have a lot of really great partnerships right here in St. Lucie County, and a lot that haven't been tapped into yet.
And that's why I love this county, because it is a very giving county. There's so many non-for-profits and people that step up for the plate, and they don't have to, but they choose to. And to me, it's exciting. And I'll just brag on your CEO for a second, Will. Will is not only the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, but he gives to other organizations too. I've never seen such a generous heart or somebody so compassionate about his kids. For instance, he had 2 boys that were foster boys. He adopted those kids. And he just, he's somebody we all should look up to.
Yes, and we hope to apply that to our club members as well, because we have such a generous leader, and a leader that is involved in so many different ways throughout the county. We really hope to take not only local businesses and leaders, but also take local nonprofits and have our teens especially volunteer. We just did, our teens volunteered with Habitat for Humanity recently to send cleanup kits to Hurricane Ian affected areas. And so that's really important to us, and something that, you know, most people might not look at that and think, oh, that's workforce readiness, but in a lot of ways,
It's life skills.
Exactly. And nonprofit is a huge sector. So.
Yes, it is.
So going back to the alumni, you talked about wanting to expand the programming. Boys and Girls Clubs nationally does have alumni programming. Not something that we've been able to tap into without having someone like you on our team. So that's so exciting. And maybe talk a little bit more about what you'd like to do with that.
Well, especially in the apprenticeship programs for the construction trades, you can do a lot of things prior to your 18. You can get your OSHA certifications, your CPR, your first aid, your controlled decking zones with a subpart R, things of that nature. So when they turn 18 and they're graduating high school, you can say, hey, all right, you're alumni now, and you've got all these skills that we've given you in pre-apprenticeship. Now we can put you in an apprenticeship program. And what that does is a young man or young woman will start out approximately $18 an hour, health care for you and your family, a small annuity, and as you, every 6 months, provided you play by the rules, you go to work every day, and you work hard. Because we always instilled in our members, work hard for that company, because when you make that company money, they're going to hire more of us. And it's worked. And so every 6 months, you get a 5% increase in pay. And it's just something, an organization that you look out for you. It's a brotherhood, or for lack of a better word. And I worry sometimes, and I'm at fault too, because I'm a parent. I got a couple young boys. We're teaching our children sometimes to buy things instead of build things.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I checked, if you call an attorney or you call a plumber, 1 hour for each, the plumber's making a lot of money. He really, really is. And these are just skills. We got away from vocational training. Everybody was, oh, you got to go to college. And I'm not knocking college. College is an awesome thing. If you want to aspire to get somewhere in life, yes, college is definitely part of your repertoire. But sometimes college isn't for everybody. And you still have a pathway to the middle class. And that's what I want to instill in these young men and women, that, okay, one, maybe you can't afford to go to college. Some of these apprenticeship programs are tuition free, things of that nature, that there are pathways. And I know that, you know, I have a lot of young men and women throughout St. Lucie County from the 20-something years that I ran that apprenticeship program in the construction union that own houses here. They have families, and you know, that puts a big smile on your face, knowing when you lay your head down at night, you help change somebody's life.
And you mentioned the other day, and I think this goes along with the apprenticeship programs, is the Green Collar Task Force.
Correct.
So talk to me a little bit
Okay,
about
back in 2010, we applied the different apprenticeship programs for a $500,000 grant, and we were fortunate enough to get it. We partnered with St. Lucie County, and it's called the Logistics Center. It's about a mile north of Midway Road on US 1, where the Hands Clinic is. So we went in probably for approximately 3 or 4 months and built it out. 7, 8, 9 different classrooms, 12,000 square feet of shop area, also a welding facility out in the back by the parking lot there. And we've graduated many young men and women from St. Lucie County.
That's
that, you know,
awesome.
are working in the trades now. So we're still there, and a lot of times I'll just meet somebody and we're just talking, and they'll say, I don't know what I want to, and this is prior to this job. I don't know. Well, do you have? How are you with your hands? Are you good skills?
Yeah.
Can you, you know, can you multiply, add, divide, read a tape, things of that level? And it's a really good segue into a good career.
Yeah, and that sounds like a great place for our kids to go to, because we don't have, you know, all the resources at our clubs. We have to go outside our clubs a lot of times to build those skills. So that sounds like an awesome program as well. And you touched on the high schools. So this is the first time that Boys and Girls Clubs of St. Lucie County is serving in high schools. So we have Treasure Coast High School and Westwood Academy.
Right.
That was four federal 21st century grants that'll span over 4 years and will allow us to run those two, as well as a couple other 21st century sites that we have going. And because they're high school, I'm sure you're going to be very heavily involved.
I plan on it.
Yes, and we did have the ribbon cutting. We have another one coming up. So talk to me a little bit about what those programs are going to be working on, those high school students. Obviously, that's specific to high school because of the environment. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay, well, first and foremost, like I've been on this job for 1 whole week now, and I got an email that was like an inter-office memo with the Boys and Girls Club staff, and I saw that there was a ribbon cutting ceremony. Didn't even know that you had entered into that arena yet. So I went, I met with the person who's running it. There was somebody helping people with math skills and things of that nature, one of the teachers, and it was just inspiring to me. Now, where are we going to take this? I don't know yet. I really, really don't. But I definitely would like to bring people from different walks of life, whether it be in nursing, whether it be in higher education, construction, hospitality, bring them to the youth, or take the youth to them and say, hey, this may be something that, you know, because sometimes you don't know, and then a light bulb goes off in your head, and you say, wow, I'd like to do that, you know, and if you can just change one person's life, one at a time, is what we're here to do.
And what a cool door that's just opened, that now we do have access to those high schools. And I believe, I don't want to misquote, but I believe it is the first time that those high schools have had some sort of additional support or after school support like that. And sometimes those kids, whether they just don't have anything to do after school, sometimes they just need the additional, you know, help, whether it be homework help or social help or whatever, you know, and that's what we're there to do.
Because you know what, I've been fortunate in my life, but I know, especially as a county commissioner, that there's a lot of people hurting. You see inflation, the way the cost of everything is today, housing. So there are many people that you worry about. Have they eaten last night? And first thing I notice is when they get there, they had snacks for the kids.
Of course.
And then of course Will was there, and he says, hey, we're going to get them pizza next time. And the kids' eyes lit up. So you know, I think it's a good support group, like you said, and it can also lead to a pathway for these kids, young men and young women, to get them on the right path.
Absolutely. And that kind of, because the school year isn't all year, so unfortunately, once the school year ends, you know, those clubs do kind of have to shift around. We do have an awesome summer program, which I'm excited for you to. I know you haven't experienced a summer program on our side yet, but Last summer, and I'm sure it'll continue this summer, it was really important to us to make sure that our teens had opportunities to make money within the clubs, because you know, they're spending their time with us rather than going out and getting those part-time jobs and things like that. So we had a lot of different opportunities, like the Learn and Earn food truck. We would do things like on Wednesdays, it was a Dress for Success Day. So they had to dress, you know, professionally, and they got a stipend for it. So all of that is to say that it's year-round, all these programs. We don't stop just after school or before school or during the school year. It's year-round.
And see, you hit on a good point there, because it's not a handout, it's a hand up. You're offering them a stipend. Hey, if you do these particular things, at the end of this, you're going to get something. You'll be rewarded for what you do. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. And I just really, really love that idea.
Yep, and if you talk to the teens and you ask them what their favorite part of summer was, they enjoy going out of their way to try to go the extra mile to get, you know, their stipend and get.
Well, I have a granddaughter. My daughter Ariel, who's a public school teacher over at Manatee, she works summers for the Boys and Girls Club. And my granddaughter Leah was at a function for the Boys and Girls Club where they were serving food and people were bringing drinks to the table, and I didn't even recognize her at first, because she was all prim and proper, you know, and she finally, she said, "Hey, Pop," and I was like, "Oh my goodness." And I was very proud of her.
Yep, and they get to meet cool people that way too, because they host a lot of luncheons that are
for the movers and the shakers in the county.
So they get to meet a lot of really cool people that way. It's an awesome program. And we, like I said, we have the drone program. We have culinary programs. We have speaker series over summers where speakers like, I know Travis Leonard from A&G Pools came last year and spoke to our teens, kind of a career day, multiple days, if you will. What are your thoughts on partnering with other businesses and partners and sponsors and things like that to kind of come in, share their stories?
I'm all in. I've had people from different areas of, there's the Porch Factory, a fella, Jim Braun, that I knew from Career Source, and he also he worked with Project Lift, where they're teaching, it's a couple-week program where they'll teach people the basic skills of either roofing, HVAC, things of that nature. So I would definitely encourage that, because Jim and a bunch of people that own businesses have said, hey, anything you need, you know, so. Yeah, I look forward to that. And you mentioned Career Source, and I know the other day you mentioned Career Source, and that they have reporting on the hot jobs. Yeah, the hot jobs. Yep. So are you planning to plug those? Brian Bauer, who runs the Career Source, is a good friend of mine, and I sat on that board up until November of this year, or last year, I'm sorry, this is 2023. And I have spoken to him already, and we're going to get together and see how we can partner together and things of that nature, because I want to know not only what the young men and women from the Boys and Girls Club interests are, but what are the jobs looking forward that we could put them that are in high demand, so you know that they're training for something that when they achieve when they achieve that certificate or anything of that nature, there's a job there waiting for them. Yeah, it goes full circle. Yes. It helps the county, it helps clubs, helps the youth. Helps everybody. That's the goal. Yes. And we have a saying right now that this generation is the only next generation we've got. And that's true for everywhere, but just looking at St. Lucie County, I mean, these youth are going to be our workers of tomorrow and our future, so that's so exciting. It is. It's very exciting. So you're a week in. How are you liking things? How are you adjusting overall? Well, I know where the men's room is. I've got an office. I've got a key so far. No mouse yet. Not a mouse yet, but we're working on that. But really excited, because I see the energy that not only staff has and just the different, like when I went to the club the other day at Westwood Academy, that the look in the kids' eyes, like, they were wide open. Yeah. And I just want to help take it to the next level. Will always says 3.0, and I kid with him and said we're taking it to 5.0. Oh yeah, he's on his 5.0. We skipped 4. There's no 4, so it's let's go 5.0. We're going right past that one. Well, we have a lot of exciting things coming up. How involved were you in Youth of the Year in the past, or how much? Well, every time involved per se, I went to the events. Hey, that counts. And the girl who won last year, she actually is doing some intern work over at the And that night, I just knew that she was going to win. Oh yeah, they were all good. Please don't get me wrong, but there was not one in her answers. She looked fresh. She looked intelligent. She spoke so well, and just her broad-based appeal to everybody. I was like, I forget who I was sitting with, and I said, this girl's going to win.
Yeah.
And I was right, you know?
And she went on to win state.
Yeah.
So that was
It's
our
amazing.
first state winner.
And you're hosting this year, right?
We're hosting the state, yep, we're hosting our local competition is on February 24th
Right.
at Treasure Coast Lexus, so we hope you all join us. Mia will be competing again for her
Okay.
club, and along with 3 other amazing teens
Wow.
from their clubs. And then we are hosting state this year, and this year it's in person, because since
Wow.
COVID, it hasn't
Yeah,
been able to be in person.
sure.
So we're really excited, and I believe that is in April. Oh,
Okay.
don't misquote me. It's either March or April, but
Okay.
we're really excited for that. We know these teens are going to do big things.
Yeah.
And it all kind of ties back into workforce readiness, and that they have to do a ton to prepare for this competition. They have to write resumes, get letters of recommendation, they have speeches, panels, all these things.
Wow.
So I am excited for this year's event, and I'm excited to see how what you're working on kind of ties into all these other events, and watching these teens go and do some amazing things. And a lot of times these, the Youth of the Year winners get plugged into internships
Yeah.
or, you know, job opportunities.
It
just through
doesn't look bad
competition.
on a resume, does it?
No, not at all. Especially, I mean, Mia last year for state, she got to go to DC,
Wow.
and then I think that was to compete for her region, and she got to go to Atlanta.
Wow.
She got, I mean, and this year they're going to Guatemala. I don't know if you've heard about this.
No.
The 4 candidates are going to spend their spring break in Guatemala with
Wow.
Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, building
So-
and helping. Wow.
Yeah, so Habitat for Humanity of St. Lucie County and Boys and Girls Clubs are partnering up, and they're going
Wow.
to go, I believe they're building a facility for a organization in Guatemala that is similar to Boys and Girls Clubs.
Okay.
So it all kind of comes full
Yeah.
circle.
Wow, I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things you're going to learn over the next
Well,
few
I
months.
always tell people I'm a sponge. I'll take all you can give me, and you know, I'll remember most of it.
Yeah, well, there's
Except I
lots of
told you
sponge.
before, I'm great with faces. I need name tags because I get forgetting.
Well, that's
Marissa,
okay.
right?
Yeah, you got it. Well, I'm really excited for everything you're going to be working on. I'm especially excited for the alumni programming. I think we're all, it's something internally we've talked about for so
I
long.
was surprised that it hadn't happened before, but maybe there wasn't a segue into it. You didn't have, I think this is a newly created position that no one's had before. So nobody said, well, hey, what are we doing with our youth? Okay, they're alumni. That's a nice title. But what are we doing to connect them with the jobs of the future?
Yep.
So-
And that's just taking what we do, it's taking it one step further.
Yeah,
So that's really exciting. And I want to make sure that I mention all of our amazing partners that have worked with our youth and our teens in their workforce readiness. I know I'm not going to be able to name them all, but we've had incredible board members and partners like Travis Leonard and Taylor Hoskins and so many others come in. We have a leadership day for our Youth of the Year candidates coming up where they're going over to the Navy SEAL Museum and TMX Aero. They're going to IRSC. They're going to be working with so many community partners that really make an impact on our teens, give them opportunities to give back to their communities and build their future. I also want to make sure that I reinforce that we have Youth of the Year coming up on Friday, February 24th. That'll be at Treasure Coast Lexus from 6 to 9 p.m. Please come. It's an amazing event. It will change your perspective of Boys and Girls Clubs, and we are so excited. So thank you, and we will see you next month.